Hello, everyone. I am getting ready to teach a class, so I I I drove today to Seattle from Idaho, so it's been quite a journey. But I wanted to make sure to make my prayer, the prayer that I make on Fridays, and I'm just also so grateful to be here in Stuart and Tracy's beautiful, beautiful backyard. And um, Something that I noticed is that, driving back into the city, I've been in Idaho for a little while. And something I was driving into the city is that, all these places along the sides of the road, all of these places where there would normally be cut grass, the flowers are taking over. Like they're totally taking over. It's so great. And so the flowers, these like wild sweet peas and uh, different forms of daisies and um, many like big beautiful ancient ferns, and so I just love it. Like the city is being taken over by flowers because nobody's cutting them, or maybe there's some kind of savings that's wanted, or taxes that are not coming in at this time or something. I don't know, but probably a lot of things are happening in our COVID time. And so I always like to send a prayer. And today I'm holding my computer in the backyard. It's really fun. Um, One of the things that I always like to ask is I like to ask permission of the spirits of land and place, and the land itself, and send prayers for loved ones, and for all beings. And so, Great Spirit, thank you so much for what you've given us, and thank you for this opportunity we have to be here together. And I ask that the work of the soul and of the spirit, that whatever's most needed to animate the body and to keep the bodies healthy and happy and to care for the well-being of all, I thank you. And I also thank the spirit of the fire that warms us, but that also has the power to destroy. And we honor the spirit of the fire. We respect the spirit of the fire, and we're asking for the help of the fire, and that the fire, that we can be in a relationship of honor and respect with the fire and with the spirit of all that is fire, with the spirit of the sun, with the spirit of all that is coming from and made of plasma, and that this gift of plasma that we have in our very bodies. We thank you and we honor you, and we ask for the well-being of all here on the sweet face of Mother Nature. Thank you. Please join us. Great and beautiful mystery, and the fire that takes no wood, our passion and our dreams, and the fulfillment of those. Thank you. Oh, amen. And I'm in the backyard, and there's these birds, and they're just coming to there's these feeders, and so the birds are coming to the feeders, and I love that. So I think that there's something about, this animating force. Like we have the earth, and we are a part of the earth, and we're made of the earth, and that's wonderful and good. And then there is the fire. We're also made of fire, and I think that it's interesting, and I think that it's important to think about how, we are made up of these elements, and so when we think about these different elements, when we think about this fire that we're made of, we need the sun, and we're made up of the sun, and we're also made up of the earth, and that I believe that we're here to really come into our fullness, and to come into our richness, and to offer that to others, to bring that, to gift that, to hopefully assist others in blossoming and encouraging the well-being and the gifts of others also. And so when I think about that, I also think about the soul, and it's interesting. For I don't know how many years, many years, I was working with Bastyr University, and doing there is a ceremony that we would do each year, and it's the invitation to the students. Hello, we have another friend here today. Hi. Please. And so at this invitation, there would be the opening ceremonies at Vestir, and I would do an opening ceremony. And when I was making the ceremony, I always talked about how, your body has been welcomed, and your mind has been welcomed. But, what we want to do is we want to welcome your soul, or we want to welcome your spirit at this time. And so, what does your spirit need? What is it that engages you? What do you really want for your life? What is it that your soul needs in order to engage, in order to feel animated? What inspires you? And so this weekend, I have the holy privilege and honor of teaching this class on inspiration called Flow. And so I'll be in that course all weekend, and I'm delighted and excited about that. Doing that work of creativity, which ignites the soul, and really looking at what it is that inspires us, because that is our gift of transformation, right? So I can be transformed by what inspires me, and then I can create from that place, from a heart place, and from a place where I'm really ignited in a positive way, and where I have my real fire. It's really interesting because the sun is doing all these things, this dappled light through this beautiful cedar tree and the maple here in the backyard, in Stuart's backyard, Stuart and Tracy's backyard, and their beautiful garden. But the sun is part of the reason that we're alive. It's interesting that we need to create in order to honor, in order to exist, that nurturing is a part of those creations, but also that there's all of these things that life needs in order to exist. And it might sound pretty basic, but the sun is one of them, the earth is one of them. And so we can't be here together without both of them. We can't be here without those two things together. And so I was thinking about this this gift that we carry, this gift of that we each have, this gift of creation. And what we want is we want to leave the world better than we found it. And it's not easy to do that. Like the sun can feel good sometimes, but sometimes it's really hot and it can be really difficult. And, the earth is a good place to live, but we all have challenges if we're going to be here. And if we love anything or anyone, we will have many, many lessons, and we'll be in that crucible of who and what we love. And so I wrote this poem a few years back, actually, and when I was driving into town, I was reminded of it, and I wanted to share it in our conversation and in our talk this evening. It's called City Spring, and I'm going to read it off of my phone, which I don't like to do, but I'm going to do that. It's not the easiest way. I mean, I do have a book and I can read it, but I don't have it with me today. So, City Spring. That I could be reading it out of, but I'm not doing that. So there you have it. City Spring, City Spring, what it's called. City Spring. Spilling over careless youth, distinct flavors punctuate the air. Obstinate flowers making lives bend to their will, making unruly beauty touch hard places. Cracks in pavement are mercilessly crowded with poppies relentlessly rising, with tiny fists of yarrow vilifying concrete, scrawling nature. Vilifying concrete, scrawling nature, cracking and clawing, vomiting spring, its light greens, orange faces pressed against the broken glass and fractured sidewalks. Scarring open, vast parking garages with jasmine vines and young alder, then opening, then lifting entire structures devastated by their beauty. Scarred by their courageous acts of neutrality, punctured and lacerated by simplicity, the new world won't take yes for an answer. And yet they thrive, inconspicuous and then searing everything open, especially the heart. When winter forces spring to give up everything, offering up the temple to the one blessing that each fist carries, to all initiations of the soul. Life uses all death as food, clarifying, masticizing nourishment. We should all be so blessed as to rise in firmament, opening the cracks of culture of killing, opening the cracks in a culture of killing. They have risen, making gold on the gray overnight. I see something powerful. It is bare root creeping over the gutter. I see something dangerous. The passion flowers have broken the sidewalk. Then searing everything open, especially the heart, when winter forces spring to give up everything, offering up the temple to the one blessing that each fist carries, to all initiations of the soul. Life uses all death as food, clarifying, masticizing nourishment. We should all be so blessed as to rise in firmament, opening the cracks in a culture of killing. They have risen, making gold on the gray overnight. I see something powerful. It is bare root creeping over the gutter. I see something dangerous. The passion flowers have broken the sidewalk. And so I would just ask, what is it that needs to be broken? And what is it that I'm carrying inside of me? What are my inspirations? What are my passions? What are the passion flowers that are in my body, that are in my bones, that want to be expressed, that want to emerge? And I really like the idea that the soul needs its inspirations, but the soul is also here to inspire. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you. I'll see you next Friday.